I'm not going to kill the tree almost no matter what I do, famous last word. Hi, I'm miltonchang of Bonsaiheirloom, and I will work on this venerable Trident Maple that I just bought last weekend from a gentleman. I will not disclose the name. I told him when I display this tree, I would give him credit for having created this bonsai. But today I'm going to be somewhat critical in the sense of make some adjustment to his design. So out of respect, I will not mention his name, but promise him that I will give him credit when I show this tree. I was in love with this tree, and he wanted quite a bit of money for it, but I was happy to pay it. So because I don't think, well, at my age, I cannot reproduce tree anymore. So I want to show you a little bit about, talk a little bit about the history of this tree and what kind of modification I want to make it a better tree. First of all, it's in a round pot, and he cuts out the ends to fit the pot, and you see they callus over. So let me make some observation that we can all learn from his experience. So in terms of history, what he told me is that about 25 years ago, he cut down a 20, 25 feet tall tree that was growing in the ground. So you can see this, the cut mark. He cut it at a slant. And then all the branches kind of, the trunk kind of heal over. And then the branches that came up, he make it into a natural canopy like most deciduous tree would grow. So that's how you handle a big cut, a big tree that gives you a big base, but then to have these coming up, multiple branches coming up to give it a look. So for example, if I cut this off, which I will not do, then you have a canopy about this, which mature trees tend to look at. But in this case, what I would do is for the next 10 years that I live, I will make this branch grow thicker so that it will more matching the bottom. So that's what I'll do. So the question is that it's such a wonderful tree. What can I do to improve it? And there are a couple of things, a couple of observations. One is that you can see the new growths are not very vigorous. They are only this long, whereas in my smaller 25-year-old Trident Maple, the same thing. The shoots tend to be that long in a month, actually 2 months or two. And that shows you the soil material makes a very big difference. In this case, he used akadama mixing with a lava rock. And that's a very good material in terms of retaining water and retaining and providing air. But the problem with that is that it doesn't retain fertilizer. So he used the akadama and mixed with, I think, lava rock, lava rock, and so forth. And so the tree is basically starved of nutrients, but it kept alive for 20 some years. So it shows you mix is really important, and it's not difficult to keep a tree alive so long as you keep it moist. But on the other hand, for it to grow vigorously, you really need very careful soil like the one we recommend. And the problem is that after 20 years, that's all the ramification he has. Whereas you see in Japanese bonsai books, where they fertilize it every month or every week, it'll be full of ramification. And that's what I will try to attempt to do by putting this into a bigger pot and into using my soil mix. And I will comb out much of the akadama and lava rock, but I don't need to be too thorough because the roots will grow into my regular soil, and there will be plenty fertilizer to get absorbed. So what I'll do is I'll just, you can see how the roots is almost like hydroponic, very clean, very white, but it didn't really have much nutrient to grow. And so I'm combing it out, and hopefully it will spread into my good soil. to feed the tree vigorously so it will grow. I will show you the next time how much it will grow. And I would continue to comb out the roots and then put it in a bigger pot that I think is more appropriate to be in an oval pot to give it a feeling of span. That means here's a tree and it's growing in nature with a lot of room to grow. But you can see as I comb out, the roots gets exposed more to show a bigger base of the tree, and that's magnificent. You want to show off the base of the tree, see how it reaches out. Right now, in the very mild California weather, it's really fine to repot and change the soil in the fall. It's a good time because there's not much leaves to cause water loss, humidity loss. So the tree, I'm not going to kill the tree almost no matter what I do, famous last word. And you can see the root balls are pretty curled, and I can comb out a lot of the roots to go into my good soil. So that's what I'll do this weekend, and then put it in a different pot. So now let's critique the design of the tree. So what I said is that the process of this tree is you cut off you don't have to be that drastic. If you cut down a tree this big and make it this high to start to grow up again, that's very respectable bonsai. So if you're 60 years old, 20 years later, you have a wonderful tree. So go for it. Never be burdened by anything to slow you down, just to say, just do it, okay? Now, if you look at this tree, it's really wonderfully uniform. You see the tree is totally uniformly all around like this. So I talked about in the past a little bit of a trick in terms of hide the branches that you may want to cut off. So let me using this as a demonstration. If I cut off this tree, you can see this tree now give me a totally different feeling. It's a canopy like this and like this. I think it's good. But on the other hand, I'm soft-hearted. I really hate to destroy all the work up here, although it's possible for me to air layer this piece to make it into a different tree. Then I'll have a tree about this high, which mature trees tend to have a flat top anyway. That would be a possibility. So that would be one possible change that I'll make. The other thing I want to point out to you is that he has actually put protective goop over where he cuts. And you can see they eventually fall off, and really didn't make any difference whether he has the protective coating or not. And he's coated everywhere, very, very methodical, very detailed. I never do that, and it's just fine. My tree will heal naturally, just like this one has no protection. And you can see there's a little bit of a rot, but that makes it look natural. So I actually don't really advocate coating the tree with protective cover. For birch tree and all that, it won't do any good because it will rot away anyway. For hardwood like maple, or for that matter pomegranate, they will never rot anyway, so you can just leave it alone. Now the big change as I see it is the following. You can see this is such a natural, wonderful, symmetrical tree. And yet, let's face it, asymmetry is more artistic than symmetry. And so let me hide this set of branches and show you how a little change could make a very big difference. So now I have a tree, you can see it's coming up like this side's blank, and this side branch, kind of a double trunk coming up. Someday it will be about this thick. It looks very, very natural. Even though it's not symmetrical, it's really beautifully natural. And I can turn it to show you all around what it looks like all around. And that's just fine. Okay, now let me do the final thing to critique the pot that he's had it in. And I think it's a little bit overemphasized, like people in Japan like to use small pots, either because big pots are too expensive or they want to show off their skill or how I can keep a big, robust tree in a little pot and wind up really a little bit lopsided. You can see sometimes a small pot with a big tree on top. And in this case, the round pot fits exactly the same diameter where he cuts off to fit the pot. I'd rather use an oval pot to give it a feeling of span. You know, it's like in a park, it's got plenty growth room. So let me take this pot out and put in possibly a new pot. Okay. Can you see how beautiful this pot is for this tree? This will be the front. You can see a little bit of the cut, the hole. And then you can see this branch on the side coming up. I would say probably this way. And the hole in the back will be not that visible, but as you walk around it, you will see it anyway. Yeah, so I rotate a little bit because I want this root to kind of point this way to give a feeling of expansion. And then this one is on that side. So I will also upright this tree a little bit when I repot it. So you can see this will be ultimately in this pot with my good soil. It should do just fine. Again, when you have a bonsai tree, you know, sometimes it's really hard to make the tough decision to change that the apex. I think, in fact, changing this the apex and let this part grow out would be the right thing to do. Maybe air layer here, so this will shoot out here. But I'm a little hesitant to do that since there's so many ears in this little branch. But those are the hard decisions you have to make. And then another problem with doing that is then the height is about the width of the pot, well, which makes the pot too long. So I'll probably just keep this. And this one, on the other hand, these are three wonderful branches. I will actually, in the summertime, when the springtime, I'll air layer these pieces right here and make that into three trees into one pot, a forest of three trees. And I can point to this being the mother tree. So that's what I do. Right now, it's a little hard to peel the bark. So I will do the air layering in the springtime. To show the winter silhouette, what you can do, you can make all the leaves disappear, and you only look at the branches, which has its own set of beauty, and you know, to show that what it looks like wintertime. So what I'll do is I keep it in this pot, plant a little bit higher with soil, so the roots get exposed a little bit more. And then 2 years from now, I will cut off the bottom and put it in a shallow pot. And that's what you see in bonsai books. And it will have a lot of ramification because a lot of soil to keep the tree alive. In short, what the important points I point out is the asymmetry part of the design. And they use a disappearing trick, handkerchief, or in this case, a garbage bag, to hide the branch you want to cut off, to affirm your design idea is sound. And I point out you can cut a fairly large tree at an angle and let it grow out to create a nice apex. So it's a nice way to create a good-sized bonsai very quickly. I think the asymmetry, I think, is an important design too. And then the other thing is that plant, especially like deciduous trees like Japanese maples or trident maples in good soil that will retain fertilizer so that they will grow vigorously. And you don't have to worry about aeration on these deciduous trees. And I also talk about the proportion of the pot. You want the top to be a little bit wider than the bottom. And the trunk, in this case, you can exaggerate it, eventually put it in a shallow pot to give you the feel of span that the tree can get very tall, very big. With that in mind then, that's all for today. I hope you liked the video, find it informative, and click like, and tell a friend about our channel, subscribe to our channel, and send us your email address so we can notify you of availability. So thank you very much.